Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earth and Dan. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about bitterness. Okay, we're going to be talking about bitterness. Now, I thank everybody so much for tuning into my podcast and just listening to my words and me express myself. And I hope that you find some sense of relation or some insight here. I want to definitely give a big thank you to anyone who has been following me for a while in regards to my content, because as I talk more about worldly issues and realities of Black women and the experience of just Blackness in general, you guys, some people may, I think in these spaces, I'm gonna just say it because this is what this episode is about. Oftentimes when we, as a Black woman, I can honestly say, expressing myself, expressing the current realities of my experience, expressing the Black experience, sometimes that is oftentimes, when it's coming from a Black woman, it's oftentimes perceived as the angry Black woman or the bitter Black woman, right? And so I'm just thanking everyone who's been listening to this platform and been following me for this while, because you guys know that I am extremely optimistic and I'm extremely positive. I'm a very upbeat person. But as I've grown older and as I just continuously have experiences in my life as a Black person, as a Black woman, I really believe in expressing those experiences and holding the space for those experiences, because I know that so many women don't really want to talk about these things. So many people don't want to talk about these things because it distorts people from their perfect worlds, right? And I'm not here to shake anything up. Well, maybe I am, but I'm not here to, sit in a space and be like, you know what? I'm not here to deny anybody's reality about connection and collectivism. Like, I'm not here to, because I know that the world is definitely shifting in a different space, or is it? And I don't want to deny that from anybody. Like, if you're someone who's, you're optimistic, you believe in all and all of those, like, I'm here for that. Like, I'm not here to neglect that. But I think that sometimes, I just be honest, like being in meditative states and just being in states where we are grounding ourselves, sometimes that kind of can take us away from the reality of things, right? And so me personally, I think I have a very healthy balance of being in a space where I'm optimistic about the future. I can sit here and focus on the good in the world. I could talk about all of the beautiful, positive things that are going on, the ways in which we've made advances in evolution, and it is all of these beautiful things. Like, I have a very healthy perspective, so I'm not really too far on the negative, but I'm not just lost in the oblivion, you know what I mean? And I'm not oblivious to what is going on in the world. So I just wanted to get that clear, and I just kind of wanted to say that. But first and foremost, let's just go ahead and get into this, because I think whenever a Black woman is expressing herself with passion, whenever she's expressing her frustration, whenever she's expressing her emotions, right? She's typically deemed as the angry Black woman or bitter. And the sad thing about this here is that too often this actually comes from women, honestly. And I've been talking to you guys a little bit about the power of sisterhood and the importance of sisterhood. You have to understand that I know we got relationship coaches. I know we have male figures in our life that we look up to, and we're really, we take what they say like it means something, and I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm just saying, like, we can be esteemed by the male figures in our lives, right? So right now, with this new age of coaches and all of this stuff, I just need women to just understand that nobody can teach you how to be a woman. You know what I mean? Like, no man can teach you how to be a woman. And I'm not saying that men don't have some insight in regards to women. And like, I'm not negating that. But what I am saying is that when it comes to being a woman, it's important to have sisterhood, and it's important to sit in spaces with each other, because no one can know what that is like. Okay? No one can know what that is like but us. So it breaks my heart to see women expressing themselves and their emotions and their experiences, and other women are calling them angry or bitter. So, I talked to you guys a little bit about how I felt like God was calling me to advocacy, and I think to an extent I'm very passionate about it, but I really don't think that I am anointed, because I don't really have the verbiage for it, and I think surely I could learn the skills and all those things. Like, this isn't one of those things where I'm talking myself out of it. I just don't think that it's something that's really cut out for me. It's, even though I'm passionate about it, and, I'm passionate about speaking about issues that can definitely make a difference in the world and sharing my insight and my knowledge. But I just don't think that I'm anointed for that, right? Like, I love it, but I don't think I'm anointed. So anyways, I think in regards to being a Black woman, I think we have to recognize that, when it comes to us internalizing things and us feeling like we're not good enough, and so many women walking around in a state of just brokenness and just lost and just frustrated and just really in a whirlwind of emotions because of, the things that have happened in their past or the things that have happened in their current realities. We have to understand that this internalization is really because we've been conditioned to, be accountable for the pain that others have caused us, right? And we can go on and on. I'm gonna give you some examples. Okay, so for example, if a young woman is raped, what is oftentimes the conversation behind that? Oh, she was fast, or she shouldn't have been wearing that, or she shouldn't have been doing all these things, right? If a woman has a child with a man and he decides, you know what, I don't want to be a dad, I'm not really here for this. Oh, she shouldn't have been laying down with him. She shouldn't have been doing these things. If a woman is with a man who's abusing her and hitting her and speaking to her in a way that is condescending and literally breaking her spirit and her soul, right? It's, oh, she chose to be with that guy. She didn't want, you know what I mean? So I don't think that we realize that this is just the realities of it. You know what I mean? And I don't think that, we hold the space enough for women and their emotions, Black women especially. It's the same stereotype as Black men, but I think that for Black men, it's kind of used to their advantage, right? Them being strong sexually, or them being in a space where it's like they're strong physically, right? Them being in a space where they may be able to perform greater sexually. And these are the stereotypes that are held for Black men, but those stereotypes work to their advantage. I think that, no person wants to be fetished, sexually fetish in that way. But I think that for men, it plays on their ego. So they have a better advantage with those stereotypes versus women. When you see a woman, it's like, oh, she's strong, she's dominant, or she's domineering, or she's intimidating, or she's, all of these things. And so I don't think that we recognize that, you know what I mean? And especially, like I said, talking about colorism, those things don't work to our advantage. And so back to my examples in regards to just women being conditioned to be accountable for the pain that other people have caused them, that will drive any person insane. That's like gaslighting on a whole nother level. That's gaslighting on a whole nother level. And so the reason that I want to talk to you, then I talk to you guys about bitterness, and I want to talk to you guys about bitterness, is because it's just so important that we understand that it's important to express our emotions. And I think that when it comes to bitterness, it's because there are so many emotions that are suppressed, right? There are so many emotions that are just not able to be expressed. There's so many times that we try to come to people and we try to talk to people, and even in our own communities with our sisters, oftentimes it's still kind of like, you were the one who was, you know what I mean? And I think, yes, you could hold the space for accountability, but I need women to know that what other people do to you really is not on you. And you absolutely deserve to feel whatever you're feeling. You deserve to feel hurt. I don't think people know, but Black women, we do cry. We do cry. Yes, we do get upset. Yes, we do. We do hurt. We do ache, at the way in which we were treated, and so I think that it's important for women to understand the importance of emotional regulation. I think it's important to understand the importance of processing your emotion, whether it is with a therapist or journaling or hanging around friends who support you. That's really important. That's vital to your healing process. And I think that sisterhood is needed now more than ever, right? Because we're on social media. There's just this trap of comparison, right? There's all of these conversations and these images about what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to have, what you're supposed to dream for, what you're supposed to, what you're esteemed to be. That's just too much for any person, right? And so you come into the reality, and sometimes you feel like, oh man, I definitely don't look like that, or I don't look like that. And that just adds on to, it's just like it's compiled, so in regards to bitterness, I really do believe that women can really rid the spirit of bitterness, and you can really get those seeds up out of your heart by just expressing your emotions and allow yourself to be angry. It's almost like, how little kids are, they get angry, right? And it's kind of like you have to recognize too, you were once a little kid, right? Hang on, I'm going somewhere. And so just imagine, someone constantly neglecting your reality and saying, oh, that didn't really happen like that. Or, oh, she didn't really mean it like that. Or, oh, nobody really thought it like that. You know what I mean? That will drive any person crazy, right? And women just happen to show it a little differently. Men may take it out more physically, and we can kind of see their anger outwardly, right? But women, we are the conduits, for everything. And so it's kind of like everything is inside of us. Our strength is inside of us. Does that make sense? So with that being said, our anger and things like that, that stuff is expressed on the inside. So sometimes we're tearing ourselves up, and sometimes we're just, you know what I mean? We're not loving on ourselves in a way in which we need to be loved. And so I just think it's important. And I think everybody needs to just understand this, especially if you are dealing with bitterness. You have to express your emotions. Like, you have to give yourself the space to cry, and you have to cry in safe spaces. Like, you know, and don't let anyone tell you that you're weak. You know, I think that now more than ever, the times have definitely changed. Like I said, I gave you guys that example, which was like mad cringe, but like, you know, guys really are expected to be treated like women. You know, I think that men have to, well, I don't think we talk about this enough, but, you know, men not growing up with fathers, it plays a huge role, you know, and it breaks my heart because, again, it's always this responsibility on women in regards to saying, oh, you have daddy issues, or, oh, you have these things. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that a father plays a vital role in both parents, actually. Both parents play extremely important and vital roles in the progression and the development of a child, right? The disciplinary actions, like all of those things, like a good father, a good mother, those things make a huge difference a huge difference in regards to a child becoming a healthy, responsible, and productive adult. You know what I mean? But we have to understand that that doesn't necessarily mean that we're inept, right? But we have to be mindful of the effects that not having those things have played in our lives and continue to play out in our lives. And so when I see men who maybe didn't have fathers, they go online, they're listening to these male influencers who are posing as mentors, but deep down they're struggling with bitterness, and they're calling women out their names. They're saying that men need to be treated like this. I think that men are not recognizing that they're being feminized in a sense, right? Now, the reason being is because we have to understand, like, the roles reversing, like, we understand, like, okay, yeah, maybe you don't take out the trash, or maybe you do take out the trash. Like, that stuff right there, to me, that's not necessarily the roles reversing. I think that that's just kind of like petty little household things and like petty little stereotypes. But I think when we have men who are handing women their numbers and saying, you call me, and saying, well, you show me something new, or we have men who are saying, yes, I'm going to go treat myself to this every week or every month. Like, I don't think people understand that these are just things that women do. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm a little turned off by it in today's society. But, you know, I'm going to leave that there because I think that's another conversation that needs to be had, because I think that too often, even sitting in that space and having that conversation, it's almost like that's constantly misconstrued as saying, oh, a man shouldn't take care of himself and he shouldn't do. It's not that. It's just that there are certain ways in which men do things, and there are certain ways in which women do things. And I think that creates a more healthy dynamic between the masculine and the feminine, versus the man being on the feminine where he's saying, you know what, I need you to drop me off here and I'm going to go do that. You know what I mean? I don't think we recognize that. And I think that because we do live in a time where it's like the morals, the values, standards, all of these things are just kind of being flipped, reverse, flip it, reverse it, put the thing down. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. It's all over the place. It's very much giving scrambled egg, honey. And I don't even know how to scramble eggs. I don't even really like, I'll eat eggs, but I ain't really feeling eggs like that. So I don't know. But like I said, that's another conversation for another day. So in regards to bitterness, ladies, you have to understand that it's not your responsibility, you know, to be accountable for the pain that other people have caused you. Like, you can sit in a space and very much say, you know what that person did to me was wrong. And I don't really care what other people have to say. Like, that was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, period. Like, hold that space for yourself. Like, that was wrong. That wasn't okay. That was done unjustly. That was done intentionally. That wasn't okay. And feel those emotions. Like, journal it. Write it out. I don't care. Kickbox it out. Like, you need to feel that. And you need to know that that wasn't okay. Okay? And then the second piece is definitely just recognizing, like, you know what, from this point moving forward, I'm going to always hold space for my feelings. You know, it's important to feel what you're feeling. It's important to process those feelings and to just allow yourself to just nurture yourself, ladies. Like, you know how to do this. Like, this is what women do, honey. We know how to nurture. Like, nurture yourself. You know what I mean? Nurture your emotions and just recognize that, like I said, at the end of the day, I can't stress this enough. You know, you're not accountable for the pain that others have caused you. You know what I mean? Like, we all play a role, don't get me wrong, but you have to hold the space and you have to say, you know what? that person did that to me. That wasn't right. I don't like, that doesn't matter. Like don't try to flip this, like hold that space. Too often we don't sit in that space because it's so easy to just, feel like the victim. And, we have to understand what victim mentality is. I think victim mentality is coming from a space where like, man, I'm hopeless. I can't do anything about this. And I think victim mentality is one that kind of develops as you sit in that space for too long. But I think if you process your emotions and you say, you know what, what this person did to me, that wasn't right. You know what I mean? That wasn't right. And you hold the space and then you move forward and you say, okay, now I've learned this lesson. I'm not going to let someone do that to me again. You see what I'm saying? I think that victim mentality is kind of where you're like a child and you're falling victim. But I think we have to hold the space. Like, you just got to hold the space. Like, don't consider yourself a victim when someone's just flat out. You know what I mean? I mean, don't say that you're not a victim when someone's literally just tyrannical, like, and just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, that's a helpless situation. Like, you can't control what another person is doing. So essentially, yes, you are a victim to that. Like, you know what I mean? So, okay, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to go too far left with this podcast episode, but I really hope that this helps you guys uproot that spirit of bitterness and that, you guys start to process your emotions and nurture yourself back to health. And you just come into a space where you're just free from all those burdens that the world has placed on you. And understand this too, like, once you heal, once you start to nurture yourself, you have to recognize that you're gonna let go of so much, ladies. Like, you're gonna let go of so much. Like, you're not even gonna be carrying those negative energies. You're not going to be carrying any of that stuff. Like, you're going to just let all that go. And so here's the thing I need you to understand. You're going to look different. Girl, you're going to look different. You're going to look lighter. You're going to look happier. Okay. So that's going to cause some people to want to come back, double back, spin the block. And I'm not really one to say, oh, whatever, you do what you do, right? I encourage people to do what they want to do, because at the end of the day, when you do what you want to do, you are accountable for the actions that you did do, right? And you're not living with any regret, saying like, man, I wish I wouldn't have listened to this person, right? So do what you want to do. But I want to talk to the people who've done what they wanted to do, and they recognize that when it comes to certain people in their lives, right, they've forgiven them. They've even forgot about it. They don't really care anymore. Like, they've processed the pain. They've moved on. They're not bitter towards this person. But they recognize that I don't want this person in my life. Like, this person doesn't deserve this version of me. This person doesn't deserve my light, my love, my energy. Okay, come on, women. Y'all know how we do. We shine, baby. Okay. And, you have to realize that too. Like, this person don't deserve that. And I don't hate you. I don't even really feel anything about you. I'm over it. And I think that sometimes when we sit in spaces too long, or, there's just conversations had around certain things like, oh, women will never leave, or whatever, all those little conversations that are had outside of sisterhood, right? Sometimes I think that it's almost expected for women to be sitting there waiting, so when you're not waiting, I think sometimes that kind of trips people up, and I'm not telling you how to be. I'm just saying, if you got to that point where you realize you forgive, you're not bitter, you're over the situation, just know that, at the end of the day, like, you can just totally move forward in your life, and you don't owe anybody an explanation, especially those who have hurt you and those who have wronged you. Okay. Understand that just because you've forgiven them does not mean that you can't hold them accountable for the way in which they treated you, like, period. I think that's another thing too, right? Like, sometimes women holding people accountable, saying, you know what, no, you treated me like this. I forgive you. I moved on, but I don't want you back in my life. I don't want to deal with you. Sometimes that's also taken as, oh, you're bitter, you don't forgive. Don't let nobody guilt trip you into staying or dealing with the person because you don't want to seem bitter, or you don't want to seem like you don't love them or whatever. Bump that. They know what they did. Okay, period. And here's the thing. This is something I know about life. We all have to be accountable for the actions that we've made towards others. You know what I mean? And we have to understand that, when it comes to like situations and relationships or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's never a matter of seeking vengeance, right? But I do believe that it's law, and I do believe that sometimes in relationships, we really do get what it is that we give, So if someone comes back around, hey, I want to be in a space where I'm attentive with you, and you're like, wow, it's crazy. When I was attentive, you weren't attentive, right? And so now you're here. It's almost like by law, by like energy, by spirit, by just the seeds that they've sown into you, I can't even give that to you, even if I wanted to, right? It's almost like it's law, man. It's just like I can't do it even if I wanted to. And it's because this person has sown these seeds. So this is the harvest that they have to reap. You reap what you sow. So move on with your life, ladies. Have peace within your hearts. Forgive yourself for feeling anger. Understand that sometimes when you have certain emotions that you want to express, it's okay to just take it to God. It's okay to take it to a trusted counselor, therapist, or a sisterhood. It's okay to journal some things, because every space is not a safe space for Black women to be. Every space is not a safe place for Black women to express themselves in a way where they're not receiving that negative backlash and those negative connotations about them being bitter and angered. You know what I mean? So find a safe place, ladies, but understand that you are soft. You are loved. Okay, we're delicate. Okay, we're whole queens out here. Okay, we don't always have to be strong, and we're not always strong, even though those are the stereotypes that are placed on us. There's so much more to the Black woman outside of strength, you know? So I love you guys. I hope everybody has a great day. Go out there and be fabulous.